I'll tell you why. It's just because I'm gonna break through to you. It's when the signs are all pointing true.
Hi, and welcome to Run Tall with Tim. I'm Tim. Thanks for being here. I'm glad we could spend a little time together. On today's video, I'm going to be giving you my thoughts on the Nike Pegasus Trail 3 after 50 miles.
If it's the last thing I'll ever do, I'm gonna break through to you.
The Nike Pegasus Trail 3 is a neutral trail shoe. It features a React foam from the heel to the toe. But before I get into this too far, I always like to demonstrate what it looks like to run in the shoes I'm about to review for you. So let's do that. But then when we come back together, I'm going to take a real deep dive into the Nike Pegasus Trail 3 to see if it's the right trail shoe for you.
Do you remember when we couldn't get enough of it all? We kept it going for so long, so long. I don't know where I would be if we let it go. Cause every time we try to break it down and build again, yeah, every time we try to make up for something lost, you know, we're never letting go. This time we can reach the sky on a prayer, we go higher than high. Yeah, wide awake, it's a big mistake, cause it's something we can deny. But with a love like this, we'll never fall. All of a sudden you'll be standing there with someone new, cause it's been going so wrong for so long. Let's keep this dream alive, the art of letting go. Cause every time we try to make a stand and start again, yeah, every time we try to make up and make amends, you know, when push comes to shove, this time we can reach the sky on a prayer, we go higher than high. Yeah, wide awake, it's a big mistake, cause it's something we can deny. But with a love like this, why can't you see what you're doing to me? Please don't leave me hanging like this. I try to recall and make sense of it all. I never thought it'd come down to this. Let's try to make a new start.
Now these cost $130 US. I think that's pretty reasonably priced for a quality trail shoe. They came in at 10.6 ounces for men's size 9 on my scales, or 301 grams. I ordered them true to size and they fit perfect for me. If you're new to the channel, welcome to the Run Tall family. I'm really glad you're here. Now I post running shoe reviews, comparisons, and shoe battles weekly, but I also like to post other videos related to running as well. So if you enjoy watching running shoe reviews and other videos about running, be sure to subscribe to the channel and click the notification bell so that you'll be notified each time that I upload new content. Now these are road to trail shoes, so a couple of features that you're not going to find on the Pegasus Trail 3 is a place to attach a gaiter, and they don't feature a Roclite either. Now as we go through this together, some of the things I'm going to be looking for are some durability issues, if there are any that have cropped up over the last 50 miles. I'm going to start by looking at the upper first, and here you can see that they used an engineered mesh material. Now they have some perforations up here in the toe box, but certainly they didn't overdo it. After all, it is a trail shoe. You want to have some airflow, but you don't want to allow too much moisture in. Now this is not the Gore-Tex version of the shoe, but I did find it did a relatively decent job in keeping some of the moisture out. Now, a lot of times when I'm out running, I run in the morning and there's still a lot of dew and moisture out on the plants and vegetation that I'm running through. And these did a pretty decent job of keeping my feet dry and comfortable when I've been out running. Now up in the toe box, I found that there's plenty of room for me to be able to splay my toes. I didn't have any issues that way. It is a bit narrow across the midfoot section of the shoe, and that's a good thing, I think, anyway, especially in a trail shoe. A lot of times, I'm going up and down hills a lot, especially when I'm going downhill. I want to make sure that my midfoot is locked in and secure all the way back to the heel cup, so I'm not sliding forward so that my toes aren't hitting into the front of the shoe, because sometimes I get that feeling or get that result running in other types of trail shoes. I didn't have that issue here, so nice solid lockdown feeling across the midfoot section, and we're going to talk more about why that is and some of the changes or design changes that they made to the Pegasus Trail 3 over the Trail 2. And then back here in the heel counter, you can see that they have a little extra material to give it a little bit of durability, give you a little bit of stability in your heel. So let's take a closer look at the toe box. One of the features that Nike included is they brought that outsole rubber up around the toe box to give you a little bit of extra protection. They also included a little bit of additional rubber overlays here. So that black or diamond shaped patterns that you can see, that's just a little extra rubber to give it a little more protection and a little bit of durability to the upper. Now the trails that I run have a lot of sticks and branches, a few rocks here and there, but lots of exposed roots. So it's not uncommon for me to be kicking a few of those things from time to time, and I found that that little extra bit of rubber that Nike did include around the toe box has done an adequate job of protecting my toes, and I'm glad that it was there. Now with that engineered mesh material that we just looked at, I didn't notice any real durability issues. I didn't have any stitches coming loose. I didn't see any rips in the fabric. So I think Nike did a good job in building a high quality upper for the Nike Pegasus Trail 3. So let's turn now and we'll take a look at the eyelet chain. One of the first things I noticed and that I appreciate is this extra loop up here that they included. Now for me, when you run your laces through there, it just helps to reduce any kind of bunching that you might get up in the toe box. And then you can see that they have lots of plastic overlay here material around the eyelets to give it some durability, and it starts out with these first two that pretty much just a classic eyelet style, but then they go into a dynamic banded system. So with eyelets 3 and 4, you can see that it starts out here with some single bands, but then as you wrap around and you look at the inside of the shoe, they become one. So in essence, what happens is you get really locked in or secure across the midfoot section with those bands, and as you tighten them down, it just cinches your foot. So when I mentioned earlier that you get a nice solid lockdown feeling across the midfoot section, it's a little bit different than last year's version of the shoe. It's the dynamic banded system that they included in the Pegasus Trail 3 that I was referring to. And then up here at the very top of the eyelet chain, you can see that they did include that extra eyelet in case you want to run where the runner's not. Now the tongue does feature a full gusset, so that gives it a bit of a booty type feeling to it when you slide your foot into these shoes. Just adds that nice snug lockdown feeling, really comfortable that way. And then we can also notice as we take a look at that tongue that it's moderately padded, but they seem to have it in just about the right areas. So this triangle shape here, that's a little bit of extra padding, so I didn't feel my laces cutting across the midfoot section of my shoe. But overall, you can see that they kept it pretty thin, so I'd say that they added just about the right amount of padding to keep you comfortable when you're out running. And I didn't have any issues with the tongue obviously migrating around because it is a full gusset, but one of the things I do like is they added these extra wide wings that just lay nice and flat across the top of my midfoot. Checking out the padding around the heel collar and the tab, I'd say they got it just about perfect for me. It's really comfortable to run in. I didn't have any issues with hot spots, and you can see that the padding rests mainly up around the top. I often call this the pillow style, but it sets mainly up around the collar of the shoe and then back here in the heel counter. Now it creates a nice solid heel pocket for you to set in. It's very well defined. So you got the gusseted tongue, the fully gusseted tongue, you got that dynamic banded system across the midfoot section of the eyelet chain and a well-defined heel pocket. So for me, I didn't have any heel slippage. It did a really nice job of just locking me in from the midfoot all the way back to the heel cup. So let's take a closer look at the heel counter. And here you can see that they did add that extra material that I pointed out earlier to give it a little extra stability back in the heel. And there's quite a bit of structure. As I pinch it together, there's a lot of resistance that way. And then as I try to push forward, I would say it's kind of a moderate amount of resistance going forward. But either way, it still helps to define that heel pocket that I just mentioned to help keep you nice and secure, give you some stability to your heel, and make you comfortable when you're out running. So let's take a look at the midsole, or what I often call the engine of the shoe. And here we can see that Nike features the react from the heel to the toe. Now, according to Nike's website, in their description, I would say that it's a moderate amount So they have 24.5 millimeters listed in the heel and 15 millimeters up in the forefoot for a 9.5 millimeter offset from the heel to the toe. It is React foam, so I found it to be pretty soft, well cushioned. It's given me a lot of good, comfortable miles on the trails. So let's just take a look, see how soft that midsole really is. I'm going to use my thumbs to try to depress or compress that midsole foam, and you can see that, you know, it compresses pretty easily. So it is a pretty well cushioned or soft shoe to run in. So let's take a look at the rocker design to it. You can see that they have a very slight heel bevel back here. And then it's pretty flat in the midfoot section of the shoe, so it's more of a classic running shoe style. And then here in the forefoot, I would say it's just got kind of a moderate arc to it. So let's take a look at the flexibility. I'm going to start up here in the toe box. As I kind of push that toe box together, I'd say it's just kind of a moderate amount. And then as I give it kind of the twist test here, you can see that it has a little bit more flexibility when I try to go side to side with it. But I appreciate that. As I mentioned earlier, a lot of the trails that I run on have these exposed roots. And so sometimes I'm coming down on those roots and I need that little extra give to it, so it's not quite so jarring on my ankles when I land. So now before I move on and we take a look at the outsole, I just want to talk a little bit more about the geometry of the midsole. And so as I flip the shoe over, we can see that it has a pretty wide landing platform up here in the forefoot of the shoe. Now that helps give you a nice stable feeling when you're out running. But look how narrow it gets here in the midfoot section. So why is that important? Because it helps give you a nice snugged lockdown feeling across the midfoot section of the shoe. So that upper tends to feel like you're being wrapped up more like a burrito than having it drape around your shoe. And they keep that narrowness through to the heel of the shoe as well. So you get a nice snug lockdown feeling across the midfoot section. You have that nice well-defined heel pocket for you to sit in. And because it's a bit more narrow back in the heel, I just feel like it's a bit more snug. And I appreciate that because I do want to feel locked in and secure in my heel when I'm out running, especially on a trail shoe. So now that we have it flipped over, let's take a closer look at the outsole. See how they're protecting all of that soft rack foam that you have underfoot. And here you can see that Nike features their shockwave pattern. So they have a V up in the forefoot. Then they have an inverted V there in the heel. So that gives you a little bit of traction as you're going uphill, as well as a little bit of traction as you're going downhill, help keep you safe and secure and tight to the trail. In terms of the depth, you know, they're not overly aggressive. They're somewhere around 4 millimeters or so in depth. But for a transition shoe from a road to a trail, I found that they got just about right. I think that Nike struck a pretty good balance. So they're not overly aggressive, so it still feels comfortable when you're running out on pavement, but there's enough lug there to help keep you safe and secure when you're out on the trail. Overall, the Nike Pegasus Trail 3 has performed really well for me over the last 50 miles. I enjoy that nice lockdown feeling I get across the midfoot section of the shoe. The well-defined heel pocket keeps my heel in place. And that rack foam, it's well cushioned, soft, and fun to run, and it's given me a lot of really comfortable miles out on the trails. And I think these are worth the $130 that they're asking for them. Hey, thanks for making it to the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed it. I enjoyed making it for you. As always, run tall, run strong, be kind to one another. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Do you remember when we couldn't get enough of it all? We kept it going.